Welcome to Advisor Talk with Frank LaRosa. Brought to you by Elite Consulting Partners, it's the only podcast offering unfiltered guidance and direct advice for all things concerning financial advisors, RIAs, and the practitioners in the wealth management business. Learn more and subscribe today at eliteconsultingpartners.com/podcast. And now, here's your host, Frank LaRosa.
Hey everybody, welcome to Advisor Talk with Frank LaRosa. I am your host, Frank LaRosa, and joined again by my right-hand person, Stacey Frank. Welcome again to the show.
Hey everybody, happy to be back.
Happy to be back.
Here we are.
It's Friday, we're a little bit casual today. Wearing one of my special, if you can't see me on YouTube, one of my special sweatshirts. If you want to know what it is, you have to go to our YouTube channel and check us out at Advisor Talk with Frank LaRosa. But today we're going to, it's a beautiful day out today. It's Friday. We had I just did a great session with a business coach of mine, Ed Milet. Many of you may know, heard of. I'm part of a group that he runs, and we just did a management team meeting, watching one of the videos. But today I wanted to talk about something that I don't think is talked about enough in the industry, and that is sort of this falls under the category of entrepreneurship, right? So this is not a financial services related necessarily talk, but the reason why it's important to us and the advisors and the financial advisor community is because more and more advisors are moving from a W-2 environment where they have a branch manager and they just do their thing to this independent world. All right, you want to open up your own RIA and you want to become a business owner. You're becoming an entrepreneur.
Running a practice.
Right, you're running a practice. You're paying the bills. You're hiring people. If you're trying to grow, you're hiring a lot of people. And this is really about one of the biggest mistakes that entrepreneurs make when they get into entrepreneurship or they get into owning a business. And that big mistake is who works for who. Right.
Yeah, and this really speaks to building the culture of your practice. Who you're hiring and why, what's the structure, what's the roles and responsibilities, and what's the mentality of the people, and how do you retain them? How do you prevent your employees or the people that are helping you grow the business feel excited to be there every day? What gets them up every day?
Right. How do you drive performance? Right. You're getting into owning your own company because you want to grow your business. You want to drive performance, you want to increase your revenue, and you want to make more money. Some people I think some of the big misnomers are, I want to own my own company. Again, whether it's a widget company, a gym, or whatever it is, you want to be the owner of a company. The biggest mistake that I believe entrepreneurs make is forgetting that as soon as you become a business owner, things don't get easier for you, they get harder for you. You don't have less responsibility, you have more responsibility.
And not just tasks in the office, right, but the livelihood and the happiness of the people that join your firm.
Right, I'm not even talking about tasks. I'm talking about your responsibility to the organization and to every single employee you bring to the firm. The minute you decide to hire one employee, you have a responsibility to that employee. And where I think entrepreneurs make huge mistakes, which then causes friction within their organization, whether that organization is 2 people or 200 people, is they act as if, because they're the business owner, that everybody works for them. And technically they do, but it's the mentality that you have to have that you actually work for your employees.
Right, you almost have to treat I think we're really building that here. You really have to treat the people that agree to partner with your firm as if they are the client. They're not your client, they're your employees or they're your consultants or whatever it is. But when the people that work with an organization or for you feel like you care about their livelihoods and their successes and their families, the amount of allegiance and loyalty to you increases drastically. So when they feel like their needs are being met professionally and personally and financially, then I feel like it's much better match, much better culture.
Right. We spent the last hour or so right before this podcast talking about the 6 human needs and trying to understand as a leadership team, it's our responsibility to understand all of our employees and and the consultants, what their what are the 6 human needs, or the top 2 or 3 that resonate most with each person, right? Need for significance, need for certainty, need for uncertainty.
Recognition.
Right? Recognition, right?
Everybody likes a little.
Right, exactly. And so everybody has those things. And, you might think as an employer, well, that's not my responsibility to understand if your need is recognition. It isn't if you don't want to grow your business, right? If you may think, and one of the things that Ed pointed out it's not a podcast, it's a private group, so it's not a podcast. But one of the things he pointed out was if you're trying to grow and build exceptional performers and exceptional sales folks, right? Just because that person wants to be number one, Stacey, wants to be number one, right, among others, doesn't mean that they don't have a need for love and caring, right?
And recognition.
Recognition is like, I want to be number one, but that can mean it could be for a different reason than you might think.
Right. Recognition could mean, the way that you bring the culture of your employees or your colleagues together. Recognition could mean, you closed your first deal or landed your first client or whatever it is. Recognition, but I think that's the important thing is what does it mean to each person? I think it means something different. And we were having a little bit of a debate in our meeting, which is all good, healthy debate. But recognition means something different for everybody. And it's the job of the leader to uncover those differences.
Right. And so
I would challenge you.
Well, right. So what we spent the time talking about is what can we do, in particular in our world, what can I do as a leader of the organization to better understand every single person, all 60 some odd people that we have here, better understand what really drives them. Because if you think it's money that drives everybody, you're woefully wrong.
Yeah. We had one of our best employees here literally say in our meeting that, obviously we all need money, but it's not what gets me up every day. I don't need the material things. I don't value the material things. I value other things, and I don't have to go into that right now. Right. But you have to, as a leader, be able to identify. So how do you do that within Elite? I said I was going to ask you questions this go around. So how do you help understand what are some things that you've done over the last few years to help understand your people better, make them feel like, they don't work for you, you work for them?
Right. That's a great question. Well, I think one of the things that we did, which was maybe 6 months ago now, maybe a little bit longer than that, we did a vision board day, which we've talked about on our podcast. But for those of you that are new, maybe didn't hear it, we did a vision board day. Think of it like arts and crafts, right? We brought everybody into the office, and we sort of stopped making phone calls and doing all that stuff, and we just spent time with magazines and glitter and all sorts of stuff and creating vision boards, and everybody put on their goals and dreams on the vision boards. And then at the end of the 4 or 5 hours that we spent, people got up, volunteered, of course, and went through their vision board to talk about why they wanted what they wanted. And as an example, so Stacey had a shore house on her board, right? And it was like, well, I want a shore house because I want to be able to have, have the kids over and family and all that other stuff. And that's great, right? But for me as a leader, where I'm trying to connect, why is that important to her? Because that's one of the human needs is love and connection. And for Stacey, the house represents love and connection as a human need, love and connection with her family, love and connection with her kids and her husband, everybody, right? And grandkids and all that other stuff. Right.
Yeah, it's where I'm guaranteed that they'll come to.
Right.
So if I work hard enough and you help me achieve my goals and I help achieve everybody else's goals here, then I can achieve those things for my family. The house is just ancillary. It's a place I know that I could sort of manipulate them to come.
Right, exactly. Right.
It's about manipulation.
Right, exactly. But the point is, if you just say, "Oh, Stacey wants a big house because she wants to show," you might think it's a recognition thing, right? Which is not, because for some people it is, right? For some people, they want the big beach house to say, "Look at me, I got a big beach house." But for Stacey, it's not. So it's my responsibility and your responsibility as a leader of your company to understand those things. Because as Ed was saying, if you can tap into those human needs for each of your producers, you will get more out of them, right? Because you're going to find out what really drives them. And then you connect that to what it is you're doing, right?
I connect the picture to what it really represents.
Right.
And, we had some really unique objects or pictures put on the vision boards, farms and, travel, family, health and wellness. It might not be about the yoga class, but maybe it represents about health or outliving somebody that you care deeply about. So I think our next exercise with our employees and consultants here is to make that connection for them. So then as a leader, you can literally hear them say, you know what, Frank, yes, I want to travel the world, but it's because, someone in my family passed sooner and didn't get to.
Right.
So we're trying to make that connection, or you are.
No, right. And so when we get back to sort of like, why are we doing this? Because as an owner of as an organization, it's my responsibility to help our employees the best way I can, right? I can't achieve my personal goals unless I help all of the people that work for the organization achieve their personal and professional goals. So by thinking about it that way, I work for them. I work for everybody here. I work for Stacey. I work for the folks that do our marketing. I work for, Tina. She runs our marketing company, right? I work for her. It's my responsibility to help her. And the biggest mistake I think, and with some things going on this week in our world, and some people that I know and work with, is they lose sight of those things. And I see it with more business owners. It's like one of the biggest mistakes. And then they go, why did they leave? I thought things were great here. And then their best producer walks out the door because the best producer's busting their butt and the owner is taking time off and, out and about and just not working at the same level that they want the employee to work at because they think, well, I'm the owner of the company.
So I'm entitled.
I'm entitled. I don't have to come into the office every day. Whatever it is, whatever your business is, it's not matching what you're trying to ask the producers to do. What you need to understand as a business owner is you now have to operate at a higher level than everybody at your organization because they're looking at you no matter what you do, right? I had somebody tell me one time, a manager that I worked for, and I was an assistant branch manager, and I used to come in at a different time, right? I'm not a morning person, so I used to come in a little bit later, but then I would stay later. I would stay till 9 or 10 o'clock at night, but I wouldn't get into the office until 9 o'clock, right? And my manager said to me, Frank, it doesn't matter if you stay till 10 o'clock at night. If they leave at 6, they don't know you stayed till 10 o'clock. It's what they see that matters, right? And what they see is you coming in at 9 when they got there at 8.
It's the perception.
And that really opened my mind because I didn't realize that was what was going on. And I was trying to create a level of professionalism and earn their trust, right? And the way they looked at it was, well, Frank strolls in at 9, right? And by the way, and they didn't know that I was working at home, right? They didn't know that maybe I was at a breakfast meeting. All they saw was I strolled in at 9, right? And it was about what they see. And so you have to think about when you have employees, what are they seeing, right? Ed talked about this in our last call last week, which I thought was a really interesting concept. Actually, this was a podcast that he put out.
On the game film topic?
The game film topic. And what he said,
when you turn
was,
the volume off.
Yeah. Like everybody talks a big game. And as a business owner, you can talk a big game about what you want to do and here's where we're going to go and all that stuff. But if you turn the volume off on you, right? And I'm saying you as the owner of the company because all eyes are on you as the owner. If you turn the volume off of what you're saying, what do people see? What does the black and white movie version of you show, right? Does it show you coming in at 9 and leaving at 4? Does it show you taking off on Fridays or Wednesdays or whatever the day it is, right? Taking off every other holiday, all these wonky holidays that aren't really holidays.
But not just that, but also what's the work that you're doing in the day? Is it busy work or is it revenue generating work? And I think every business owner, every leader, should encourage their employees, what does your busy work part of the day look like, and what is your revenue generating, client facing? And I know this applies to financial advisors as well. What does that look like? And if you look back and most of your day was more on busy work or following up on administrative things, which we all have to do, and it's the minutia that we have to do, but what percentage of it was really, in your case, speaking with clients, in our case, speaking with advisors, or speaking with our employees who we treat as our clients? What are those revenue generating tasks, and how much of your day is spent on that?
Yeah, if you're right, and if you're a financial advisor, so we'll talk specifically about, well, actually we don't have to. It's the same principle. Which is why I love this. This is like business 101 stuff, right? And you come in the office and you stroll in, and your assistant, you expect him or her to be there at 8 o'clock in the morning. You stroll in at 9. Then you talk to your buddies about the golf game you had, or whatever it is. Doesn't have to. I keep picking on golf because I have a trigger with golf, especially during Monday through Friday. So that's what the weekends are for. But you're basically coming in. You're putting your feet up on your desk, and you're sort of like not really working hard, but the people around you are grinding. Right? Because you need them to grind because they work for you and you're paying them and they're supposed to work hard so you can sit in your office and talk to your buddies about your weekend and all this other stuff. They pay attention to that stuff. And I'm telling you, as a business owner, you need to stop doing that. You need to work as hard, candidly, you need to work harder, not as hard. You need to work harder than they're working. You need to show them that when you walk in the door, before they are, right? No matter what your success level is, it's first in, last out. You want to drive a culture of performance. You want to drive a culture of excellence, right? So you want to deliver a level of excellence to your clients, right? This is to the investor community. You want to drive excellence to your investor clients. Then you need to raise the bar. You need to set a high standard for your team, which means it starts with you. And again, I'm a little bit fired up this week, and I'm not going to apologize, but I'm a little bit fired up because it's one of the things that frustrates me as a business owner when I look at other business owners that don't get it, right? Because candidly, it gives other business owners a bad name, right? Like, oh, you're an entrepreneur, so you don't really work that hard. When the reality is, real entrepreneurs work harder than everybody else. I work 3 times as hard as I used to work, and I have some friends that are branch managers, so guys, don't take this the wrong way. I work 3 times as hard as my buddies that are branch managers. I call that play work. And I love doing what I'm doing, right? And I love being accountable to the people at my firm because it's building that culture of together, we're going to do this together. We are going to win together. But you have to change your mindset. What does that mean? It doesn't mean we're going to win if you do what I tell you to do, right? Like, you work for me, so do what I tell you to do so we can win, so I can go drive a fancy car, right? That's not how it works.
Our marketing team, well, really all of our consultants here, the marketing folks and the consultants that are here, they put in a lot of hours. They put in a lot of calls, a lot of grind away from their families. So, we have to impress upon them. If we're going to expect that they put in the time and effort, work ethic that we want, then we have to model it. We don't have to always talk it or speak it to them, but we have to model it.
Turn the volume off.
Right, exactly. So again, I'm going to go back to the question. What do you, when you're in your office and you're thinking about what all the folks here are doing and around the country, because we're national, what are you thinking about? What are some of the things or ways that you can make them feel like, wow, Frank and his management team, they're really here for us?
So I think about what can we do to connect with them more. We do a Monday call where I get on and we talk about whatever it is. I want to make sure I stay connected, whether they're in-person consultants or they're virtual, right? More people have gone virtual nowadays, and I believe you can still build and connect a culture virtually. I believe you get higher performance if you have the ability to be in the office, but we connect with them. I obsess about making sure that we're connecting with our advisors, our management team. Who are we talking to on a weekly basis? Are we, we've set up a structure where we have sort of leadership pods, so that we're making sure, Stacey has a set of I can't say that word today. What the hell? Exceptional senior transition consultants. And so Stacey works with that group. And then JC Young, who's my chief of staff, he works with another group. And then we have other top level senior transition consultants that work with a subset of performers. We set it up that way so we are constantly staying connected to our folks, constantly.
Right, and what's important to them on a day-to-day basis?
Right.
What does it mean that we have a certain, kind of coffee here in the office? Does it mean that we do a certain quarterly event or annual conference? Like, what are the things that keep our folks connected? Like, we're one big happy.
I would say that what we do, right? We obsess, and I know you're asking me what's the question, right? But it's I can't do any of this stuff without Stacey and the rest of the team. So it's we obsess about how can we do a better job for them, right?
And if someone isn't doing well here or not producing, we take such responsibility and ownership. What did we do wrong? And yes, look, some people aren't going to work as hard as others, or they don't have
Fixing her microphone.
Oh, sorry. They don't have the skill set, and that's fine. But the first question we ask ourselves is, where did we fail you? Where was there a lack of training or a lack of attention? Or did we just, train them and let them go on to their merry way and just try to succeed here? Or did we intervene in critical parts?
It's like a family. Look, we look at it as
Right.
a family. Someone mentioned that to me today. It's like when you're a business owner, you're the head of a family, right? You're the head of, not like a mafia family, but
Well, that's what we're building here,
right.
for sure.
It's a family. So when you have kids and you're trying to raise them, it's your responsibility as a parent to do and guide them the best you can. And if they fall, sometimes they have to learn, right? The mistakes. But it's also your responsibility to figure out what did you do? Where did you maybe fail? And I'm not saying fail because I despise that word, fail. I don't think there's no such thing as
lessons.
fail. It's just lessons, right? But what lesson did you learn from that? What could you have, as a parent, done better to help your child? And again, I'm not calling our employees children, but you have to care for your employees like they're your kids, like they're your family. Not kids, but like they're your family, because you can't function without them, right? You can't operate a successful business without high quality employees.
Right, and we can't achieve our goals, and we say this all the time, if they're not achieving theirs. And that vision board aren't just a bunch of pictures on a what is it?
So whatever that
oak
is,
tag or whatever.
Whatever it is,
That
cardboard.
they're making some real human, emotional connection to those things. So if we're not helping them identify that, then we're failing.
Right.
Not failing. We're just not helping them.
Yeah, we're not succeeding. We're not fully optimizing our relationship.
Optimizing.
Right. So, again, Stacey's asking the question. So we think about those things. We look at the calendar. What events can we do? We do a conference. We do a spring conference where we bring everybody in, and it's a way for us to connect in person. If people are close, sort of within driving distance or so, a lot of times we'll pay for them to fly up and stay with us, stay at local, because we know that connection is really important. We're always trying to figure out ways to do those things. There's training. We do a lot of training. We're setting up systems for training. We're trying to do things differently that maybe have been done in our business, but there's things that you can do in your business, whether you're financial services or you are in some other business and you happen to be listening to this. Figure out how to be unique. Figure out how to push the envelope in terms of things that you can do differently, or candidly, not even differently. Take the things that successful companies that you admire are doing and figure out how to implement those things into your organization. I use firms like Raymond James and LPL as our barometer. I don't necessarily use our competitors, and there's some really good competitors out there, and I respect them. We're just different, right? We're larger. We're just different. Not in a bad way or a good way. We're just different. But I think part of the reason why we're different is because we don't look at them as the standard for where we want to go. We look at firms like Raymond James and LPL, some of the high quality broker dealers out there in RIAs as the standard that we're trying to achieve, right? And you have to think about that in your world, in your, whatever the industry is you're thinking about. And again, if it's financial services, well, what firms do you want to model after? What firms do you respect so much? You may be a $2 or $3 or $4 million practice. That's okay. Why can't you do a recognition event or dinner or recognition getaway or have a learning management system? Because if you're lucky, you work for an organization that has that stuff.
Right. I think one of the best exercises that at least is most impressionable on me that we did, I don't know, been here almost 6 years, but 5 years ago was we involved everybody in helping define our core values. And I know we did a podcast on that, but that was something that made me feel like, wow, core value. I don't know, but what do I want to wake up to every single day? What are our guiding principles? And that exercise, I think, really resonated with some of us that started here years ago in terms of making feel like, wow, like Frank really cares about all of us and what matters to us, that we're putting it into our guiding principles of our firm. So things like that,
right,
I think really.
Which again, that's another separator for us. But for you to incorporate those things, and I would tell you that since we did that, the growth of our organization has been exponential. But also leaning on those core values in certain times of stress, certain situational things where you can lean on core values. And again, we did those things because we have an obligation to the people that chose to join our firm.
We're privileged, right?
Right. We are privileged to work with them because they chose to work with us versus either go to a competitor or do something else.
Right. You work for me, that mentality.
Right. And so again, rounding this back out, what Stacey just said, they don't work for us. Technically, they're employees of the firm. That's just a technical thing, right? But philosophically and how we look at what we do on a daily basis, we work for them. We work for the people that are in our organization because that's the mentality that you have to have. If you are a business owner, if you're a new advisor, we have some clients now that are, in the next weeks and so are moving from a W-2 environment to their own company. Congratulations. It's awesome. I'm super excited for them. But they may have to learn that dynamic is going to shift a little bit, right? Because when they were at their institutions that they were at, they had a sales assistant. Those sales assistants were being paid for by the firm, right? They were employees of the firm. They had probably a administrative manager that those assistants reported to, right? Who worked for them, right? And now they're going to go independent. Now there's going to be a shift. And so I hope with those folks, and some of them, who you are. So I hope you're listening, right? You have to change your mindset as a business owner. Like, congratulations, you're going to start your own company. But now, congratulations, now you have all the responsibility to take care of those employees, because you're not only taking care of them, but it's their families that you're taking care of. They're choosing to do this with you. They're choosing to leave the firm that's paying them a nice salary and benefits and, all that stuff to come with you. And there's some level of risk there. And you need to show them a level of appreciation. And so it's really the message. This is the message this week is really understand who you work for and who works for who here, right?
And titles, that's a whole other topic. Titles are important, but it's what are you doing with it?
It's right. What are you really doing? What are you supposed to be doing? That's a whole nother. We can actually do that in the importance or lack of importance of titles. But what we're really trying to talk about is just changing your mindset and understanding. If you change that and understand your responsibilities to the employees of your firm every single day, all day, you'll be shocked with how fast and how loyal
motivation
your employees will be, and you'll actually grow your business faster because they'll show a level of appreciation that you'll never get if you just keep telling them, well, you work for me. Well, you work for me. So anyway, with that said, thanks that was sort of a fast, fiery. I'm a little bit wound up this week for
it's all energy, all passion
from things that happened. I even dressed down today, so sort of dressed down.
It blends with the room,
right?
White and
usually I always wear blue, but I'm wearing white today. So my Ferrari shirt. So one of a couple of them. Anyway, thanks for joining us. We hope that was useful for you. Feel free to share this. We don't have any advertisements on here or anything like that. We have firms that want to advertise. We don't have any interest. But if you know anyone that's going into entrepreneurship or struggling with their business, forward this to them, share it. Don't forget to like and subscribe, whether it's Apple, iTunes, wherever else you, Spotify, wherever you download your podcasts. And don't forget, check us out on Instagram, which is franklarosa.elite. I think I crossed 120,000 followers, which is tremendous.
And growing, right.
And if you want to talk about this kind of stuff, if you're thinking about making a move for a financial advisor, you're thinking about making a move and you want to talk to somebody about all of these things, and you have interest in working with someone with a master's degree in psychology, which a lot of this stuff is, you can give Stacey a call.
Get time in the chair.
Right, get time in the chair. Right, exactly. What's your number?
My number is 856-816-6322 or Stacey at eliteconsultingpartners.com. Don't forget the E.
Don't forget the E. So with that said, thanks everybody, and we'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to Advisor Talk with Frank LaRosa. If you're looking for more advice or solutions on any topics in the financial services industry, or you just want to subscribe to our podcast, head on over to eliteconsultingpartners.com/podcasts.